Hey young people, going to talk about some building clearings or how cops or tactics, military, different numbering systems and lettering systems of the building. Hi Moki, are you watching over Dad? He's like, dude, why are you bothering me? I'm up here on mouse patrol. Alright, so I got a little whiteboard here. Hopefully you'll be able to see it, and I can go over there and kind of explain a building and numbering. When cops respond to a building, there has to be standard communication, so you kind of know. Did I move that? Alright, we're still on it. So there has to be standard communication. So if this is a building and cops, the standard procedure is most people, if this is a set my coffee down. If this is a roadway here, and you're coming down the road, and here's the building off the road, commonly, cops and military will label the side of the building facing the road or the main entrance has either 1 or A. And then you go in a clockwise position and label the other sides of the building. So if we were using the numbers, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I wanted somebody and something on 4 side of the building, or on side 4, either way, however I'm describing it, everyone there knows that that side of the building is 4. If we're using A, B, C, D, going in a clockwise position, main road, then we know, if I want somebody at the back, I say I need somebody on side C or on the back of the building. You can say the back, front, straight talk. In a tactical situation, if we're doing a SWAT entry and we're gaining intel and we're doing some surveillance before we're making an entry or trying to decide the best way to get floor plans, we have hostages, terrorists inside or something, then it gets a little bit more technical. So if somebody says size 1, 2, 3, 4, most things are labeled clockwise. The front of the building is normally 1. And then the floors, of course, if this is a 3-story building, you would start with 1, 2, 3. So we would go up. And then some people will use letters or numbers for this. So if I want to describe this window right here, and again, this is the front of the building, so we're facing 1. If we're using the number system, it would be I have movement, or I have a body, put a little head in there, I have a body in 1, 3, either 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 3, delta, if I'm using A, B, C, D. So, depending on how you're labeling or what your protocol or SOP, standard operating procedure is, you're going to know how to label a number. Either we're going to use letters for windows, we're going to use numbers for windows, we're going to use letters for sides of buildings, or we're going to use numbers for sides of buildings. So normally what happens when cops respond, if this is a building and there's an alarm or there's some sort of hostage or whatever, robbery, assault going on, or rape or whatever, if we want to secure the building, cops, if these are cops showing up, they normally position themselves on the 2 corners of the building, the first 2 cops there. Because that way this cop can see this side of the building and that side of the building. And this cop can see this side of the building and that side of the building. So we have the complete building covered. And you do this immediately when cops show up, so you kind of can tell if anybody exits the building, so we know where the suspect's running from, etc. So if a cop is showing up here, he will say he's either taking up, we would normally call this the number 1 position, number 2 position, number 3 position, number 4 position, if you order the corners. So if you have officers showing up, and the first officer shows up, if he's approaching from a road back here, as soon as he gets to the building, he's gonna park right here and say, I'm in position 2, which means he's got a view of this area and this area. And then the next cop knows he's going to position 4 because that's opposite of 2, and now he's going to be able to get this area and that area. And then we have the complete building secure. So, and you can use this in tactics as well as, you know, if you're scouting a building, if you're doing recon, if you're doing intelligence, you have to have identifiers for a building. So that's basically, you know, depending on what system you're using, which one you want to use. If there's a door here, this door would take on a number or a letter. So if I'm using letters A, B, C, D, and I want to describe this, it would be Adam 1, Charles. If I'm using letters up here. If I'm using numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, it would be Adam 1, 3. And then that way, what happens is, before you do an entry of a building, before you get involved in a building, there's intel where we're going to start gathering intelligence. Once we lock this building down, and this is called, when we lock a building down, that's called an inner perimeter. An inner perimeter contains a suspect. It stops anybody from leaving or going into our, you know, area of operation. Some people call it an AO. Some people call it, you know, the target location, the resident, whatever it is. You always want to make your inner perimeter as small as possible. So, if we know the guys on the first floor, if we can somehow lock off the top floor above it, then we decrease our inner perimeter to a smaller area. So we're always trying to shrink the inner perimeter. And then the outer perimeter keeps other people out. Media, passerbyers, family, reinforcements, backup. Your outer perimeter, where you have cops stationed, is to keep other people out of your affected AO area. So, I forgot where I was going on building. Shit. I got all sidetracked talking about all the different things. So anyway, that's kind of, you know, for people, if you're listening to a scanner or you want to know how things communicate, or if you want to do your own training or set up your own, you know, if you're working with a team and you want to establish, this is what most law enforcement military will use. And again, you can use letters or numbers. You can come up with this thing. The key is standardize. For most agencies, I think they use 1, 2, 3, 4. So, I don't even know where my little 2's at because I've already screwed up everything. This is B. Oh, there's my 2 over there. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 is what most people will use for the size of the building. And 1 is always the front of the building or the side that faces the street. Now, it gets a little technical when you start having buildings with extra sides or round buildings. Then you have to kind of modify what you're doing, but you usually do that on the fly, or if you're expected to respond to there's already an SOP for that building when we respond, you know. And again, you can always use north side, south side. The problem with that is in a crisis when people are responding, they have to kind of, it slows them down. I have to figure out which side, or if I want to call in the, you know, the northwest corner or the southwest corner or the south side of the building or the north side. When I'm doing a report, that's how I will write my report. I'll say I took up the position on the northwest corner of the building or the southeast corner or whatever, and then I did, and the same thing for if we're doing a room. If you have a room, and this is really critical when you're doing your reports and if this is a room with a door, you really want to do a diagram anytime you do a crime scene. I can't tell you the number of times when I was first starting out that I just screwed the pooch because I didn't do a diagram, and then you get up on a stand and they go, "Officer, when you went into the room, where was the bed located?" And I'm like, shit, I've been in 30 stinking houses since then and done how many warrants and arrested how many people, and this is 6, 8 months, a year later, and you're asking me where the bed was located. And so I have to say, and I don't like saying, I don't know, or I don't remember. And anytime a defense attorney can get a cop to say, I don't remember or I don't know, it lessens his credibility. So that's why they ask stupid questions sometimes, just to get the cop to answer with that answer to reinforce the jury. This cop really didn't know what he's doing. How many times do you say, I didn't know? So when you're doing a diagram and you enter a room, you want to say the door, the west side of the room, the door was facing the west side of the room. When I entered the room, there was a bed And if you do a little diagram, you know, and then I'll just put bed over here. And I would just draw out a little diagram. Here's a dresser. This was leading to the bathroom area. And you just draw out, you know, when I came in here, there was blood on the floor here. Let's see, what else could I be finding here? I found the gun in this location. So I'm writing sideways and everything, but you know, I would kind of draw this out, and I used to use paint because I could do little squares and type in little things, and my diagrams would look pretty nice. And again, I wouldn't do it unless I was probably thinking I would do it like this, and then if I knew I was going to court, or if I knew the case was going to be what we call a bucket, you know, with a lot of issues, then I would type it out, draw it out, and you know, any room that I found evidence in, I would do a quick diagram, because they're going to ask you, you know, where was the window at? Did the window have drapes or blinds? Were they open or closed? Could you see the neighbor's house? I mean, they're just going to get into all these questions that, you know, when you think about it, you're kind of like, crap, man, am I off the page there? Oh yeah, I guess I am. Sorry about that. I should have, So, you know, what was out the window? Did you see it? Where was the parking lot? You know, and again, same thing with a house. If I do a search warrant on a house, I'm going to draw the house. I'm going to say the driveway. Here's the garage. Normally now with Google Earth, it's easy just to print out a top view of a house, attach it to the warrant and say this is the house, you know, and I describe it in my warrant. And then I say see attached Exhibit A, which is a Google map of the aerial view of the house. And then I can do that. But that's a little bit of diagrams, numberings, things. I have some cops, some new cops, or questions about how cops do things, so I figured I'd cover some numbers. I got a couple whiteboards. Thanks to Pat, he gave me one of his old ones. So anyway, we'll end that there on numbering and diagrams and what the hell is that? All right, we'll end that there. I'll just make a video on this. Okay, here's how you number a building. Everybody got it? Let's go. We got to go.